The Great Barrier Reef Marine Park and World Heritage Area is one of the most complex natural systems on Earth. Home to the world's largest coral reef and a unique range of ecological communities, habitats and species. To help protect this fragile ecosystem, a comprehensive zoning plan was introduced in 2003, creating the world's largest network of marine sanctuaries. Zoning works, and we're all benefiting from those zoning changes today. If you're visiting the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, you'll need to know your zones. Making sense of the zones when you're on the Great Barrier Reef can be difficult, but help is at hand. The Eye on the Reef app. It shows where you are on the map, with or without mobile signal, whether you're on a tablet or phone. And from there, you can check the zones and the rules that apply to them. Absolutely perfect for recreational anglers or anyone who's visiting the Great Barrier Reef. To get an even better handle on zoning while I was in Cairns, I organised a fishing trip with local recreational fisherman Mark Reed. He also happens to be Marine Parks Manager for the Great Barrier Reef Authority. We're planning a trip out to Arlington Reef. It's sheltered from the prevailing southeast winds here. I've got the app and I'm having a look at the zones here. You've got the map, mate?
I have, and they're both really good tools. They're reliable and accurate information about marine park zoning if we're going out in the Great Barrier Reef.
Shows you where you can and can't fish. I notice there's a couple of islands as well, Mark. We might stop.
Yeah, and they're great places to visit too, but they also have some rules sometimes, Rob. So as part of your pre-planning, make sure you check out the information about islands.
Yeah, and the national park rules for those as well. Yeah, pre-planning is hugely important. You've got to check the zones before you head out, and with the map and the app here, it's so easy these days. Let's do some more planning and get out there.
Okay.
As planned, we're heading out from Cairns on Reef Runner to some amazing locations in the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park. For Mark, it's a chance to indulge in what he loves most, fishing the reef. Well done, mate. You love it, mate, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Have you been fishing the reef for a while?
I've been fishing the reef for a very long time, since I was about 4.
Wow.
And for me, it's just about to connect to an extraordinary place.
Yeah.
But it's also about the fact that I can actually relate my work to coming out here and talking to people who actually enjoy the reef as well.
Yeah, that's unreal. The green zones are great for these guys, right?
It's a really good story in terms of the green zones, because what happens is that the big breeders are in the green zones, and then the larvae flow out into these areas open for fishing, and it means that people like you and me who actually really enjoy recreational fishing can actually access them.
Love it. Our skipper Dan put us right on the spot, and the coral trout were on the bite. Woo! And that's why I never worry about catching good fish when you come up here on the Great Barrier Reef. It's fantastic fishing. That is a prize A1 class table fish, the coral trout. A one hook rig that Dan uses. You don't need 2 hooks here on the reef, because that second hook could be trailing around. Another fish could grab it or could get hooked on the reef, and you lose a trophy fish like this. Plenty of fish, 1 hook's enough, and that's a circle hook, so it hooks a fish in the corner of the mouth if you want to let a fish go. But this guy is going on the esky. I've got my dinner, and you can see how special this place is. There you go, mate. Look at that. And you know what? We're actually so close to Cairns, and to be catching quality coral trout like that. Have you got any stats on these guys?
They did a really nice study down in the Keppels where they showed that 60% of the coral trout in areas open to fishing had actually originated from the green zones.
That's unreal.
We also know that the green zones provide more benefits than just for fishing.
Yep.
They're actually more resilient to bleaching,
Yep.
and more resilient to crown of thorn starfish as well. So they're just a great tool in terms of the investment and the insurance for the Great Barrier Reef.
When I'm out with Dan, we'll catch a few fish on one spot and move, take the pressure off the trout, which is exactly what we're going to do now.
Yeah, we've got a couple of nice fish in the esky. I reckon time to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we took a little break, had some lunch, and we're drifting along. We've seen a massive show of fish on the sounder, and the first thought as a fisherman is we want to drop our lines down and hook in.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rob, it's all too common. People just in the heat of the moment, as you say, they're probably a bit complacent, a bit distracted, and they put their lines down and then go, oh, crikey, are we in the right zone for fishing?
Yeah, so check beforehand. And look, the beauty of this is you go on your location service on your phone, make sure that's turned on, and there's a little arrow on the app that you tap, shows you exactly where you are. And so now we can see we're outside a green zone, we're in a general use blue zone, And you can check the rules on that further as well, right?
Yeah, that's the great thing about this app is that you can go in and touch on the screen where you are, and it'll actually tell you the rules.
Yeah.
And so it's just accurate and reliable information in one tool.
And it doesn't matter how far out to sea you are either, right?
No, that's the great thing about this tool as well, is it works outside of mobile coverage.
Beautiful. Within minutes, we were rewarded with another stunning fish.
What an amazing fish.
Yeah, beautiful. There we go, there. Cobia, mate.
Look at that.
That's the thing up here, it's just the variety's insane, isn't it?
It is insane. Quality fish.
It is a quality fish. We're going to keep this guy. He's a good table fish here, cobia. You love coming out and getting a feed, don't you?
Oh, I just love it. You know, this is on our back doorstep. We're fishing with inside of Cairns.
So we've got bait busting up here. Skip's actually seen a marlin tail, and as you can see, we've hardly left Cairns. I'm hanging for a cast, mate.
But before we do that, Rob, let's check the app. As you can see, we're in a general use zone. Good to go.
So quick, I love it. It's always worth a quick cast, you know, when you see bait busting up like that. Looks like my fishing instincts were right again. There's so much to catch here. What do we got? Sharp tooth jobfish. You can see where he gets his name from. Sharp teeth. But you know, when you're fishing out here on the reef, there's another great app you can look at, and it's the Queensland Fisheries app 2.0, and helps you identify fish.
And the good thing about the app, Rob, is it's just had an upgrade and it's got a wonderful species identification feature on it. So like any of these tools, we recommend people download them before they come out here on the reef, and that just means that we're responsible fishers looking after the reef and the World Heritage Area.
Absolutely, you've got to look after it. Well, Mark, we are just absolutely surrounded by beautiful coral here at the moment. And in conditions like this, you've got to just take it in, put the rods down for a bit and absorb it, don't you? It's just stunning.
It is stunning, Robin. As users of the marine park, we're so fortunate to be able to access places like this. And this is a truly unique space because we've actually got the wet tropics World Heritage Area behind us, actually coming up and abutting against the Great Barrier Reef World Heritage Area. And this is really important for traditional owners in terms of, you know, acknowledging and respecting their culture, because they think about this as all country. And so that's one of the things we should also come back to, is respecting this as country.
Well, there's stories of this being connected once upon a time, right?
That's right. They've actually talked about the fact that before the sea level rise, they used to be out here hunting and collecting. And so to have that really long connection to country is just so fundamentally important to acknowledge.
Absolutely. Mark, massive system. Covers like almost the entire Queensland coastline.
Yep. It is amazing, Rob. Look, it extends for 2,300 kilometres.
Yeah.
344,000 square kilometres in size.
Yeah.
3/4 of the countries in the world fit within its boundaries.
Yeah, that's a lot of coral and a lot of area, you know, so yeah.
And that's why it's really important to have a foundational management tool like zoning up and down the reef, creating this network of zones. It's, in many ways, it's almost like an insurance policy, because if something happens to the area we are here today, like a cyclone, you've got areas nearby that will help this bounce back and recover.
Yeah, right. Well, why wouldn't you look after it? Look at it. The best way to get acquainted with the zoning in the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park is the Eye on the Reef app. Download it for free from the App Store or Google Play. It's free, but it's invaluable. And it does a lot more than zoning and regulations, like citizen science.
Good. Sea snake on the surface, just fantastic. And Rob, that's another great thing about the Eye on the Reef app, is it's actually got this little function called sightings. And so citizen scientists, you and me, when we're out there in the marine park,
Take a photo.
we can take a photo, but it also means that we're actually, because the park's so big, the citizens actually become our eyes and our ears. And the things that they're seeing, they're recording, sending to us, and we're building up a far better picture of the overall biodiversity of the marine park. We can create a sighting, and then we can record all that information about that sea snake we've just seen, and we submit that in, and that's just contributing to the citizen science network. And look, a really great example is that we've had a whale sighting by a particular species called a sei whale. Only 2 sightings in the marine park in the last 20 years, both by citizen scientists.
Unreal. Huge GTs travelling around here.
Monsters, aren't they?
Very tempting to have a cast, isn't it?
It is indeed, and that's one of the real things we've got to watch out for, is that, if this is a green zone and you go fishing, it might be the most expensive GT you'll ever catch. There's pretty hefty fines, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. And our skipper Dan knows this is a green zone. He can see it on the sound. I love that everyone on board can have the app and can look for themselves as well. When you come into a green zone like this, you also want to check your gear secured, right?
Yeah, there's some really strict rules around what we call stowed and secured. So you might notice our rods and reels here, they're all packed up, there's no bait out there, there's no bait on the hooks. That's what we call stowed and secured.
You don't want to be even looking like you're going to go fishing at all. That's the whole thing you've got to do. But
that's right.
Really cool to see this trevally. They cruise around
really
other spots, not just the green zones.
It just shows you the biodiversity and the health of the Great Barrier Reef.
Out of the green zone and into the blue. And the big trevally are on the chew. I'm just about ready for some lunch, I think. Like these guys, it's just phenomenal fishing,
It's just one good fish after another at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Whew.
And this is what we're finding, like the marine park zoning's now been in place for over 20 years. And it's one of those things you've got to have that long-term protection in if you want to support the whole ecosystem. And fishing is just one of those indirect benefits. And the other thing is that some of the species we've been targeting today, they're actually long-lived species. They take quite a long time to come back. And so if you've got that insurance policy in place, which is our marine park zoning, the whole ecosystem reaps the benefits.
Well, we got colour on this fish now. What do we got?
Oh, wow.
A beautiful trevally. I'm going to let this guy go, so I'm going to take extra care with him and pass him over the rail. So I've wet my hands. Keep the fish in good nick now. If that was our first fish, they're okay eating, but we've caught some pretty good quality table fish. She's going to get to go back, mate.
Yeah, and then once again, Rob, as responsible fishers, it's about limiting your catch, not catching your limit.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go, fella. Swim.
Good release too. The Eye on the Reef app is a fantastic tool to help all of us understand where the zones are in the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, but it shouldn't be used as a navigation tool. So it's really important to cross-reference between the Eye on the Reef app and whatever chart plotter you use. But be careful, because each chart plotter is slightly different in terms of how the zoning information is portrayed. So Dan, can you talk to us a little bit about your Simrad unit?
Yeah, so I've got each of the coloured zones. I've got the borders lit up in the particular colour. So for example, a green zone's highlighted by a green outline, yellow with a yellow zone, and even up to pink zones, which we can't even drive into.
So this is a really good example of how that information can be portrayed on your chart plotter. Between the chart plotter and the Eye on the Reef app, you've got the best tools at your disposal to know where the zones are and where you can and can't fish.
That's awesome.
How great's that? We're out in the Great Barrier Reef. We've just seen 3 humpback whales going along. But it's, in many ways, this is just a great reminder for all of us. We're out using the place like this. Responsible reef practices, Rob. One of the great ones we talk about is going slow for those below.
Yeah. Oh, wait, there they are again, look.
How good's that?
You don't want to hit them or disturb them with a boat going flat out, right?
That's exactly what it's about. And just think about it, the fact that an adult humpback can go 14 metres and 40 tonnes.
Yeah.
So if you do inadvertently, run into one, you really put yourself at risk and you could harm the whale.
So yeah, when they're about, go slow. When there's other things about, like dugongs and turtles, just take it easy. And another good reason to have your life jacket on, because if you do hit one, they can flip you over real quick. So yeah, any marine creatures, you want to just look after them. They're so beautiful. Look, oh,
Look at that, man.
one of the best things about fishing is what else you see along the way.
And this is one of the reasons why this place was nominated to be a World Heritage Area, because the biodiversity is just extraordinary.
I didn't even know the whales got this far north. I thought they pulled up at the Whitsundays, but this is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
The Great Barrier Reef Marine Park isn't just the reef. It also includes coastal rivers, creeks, mangroves, and some amazing locations, like here on the Russell River. It's a stunning place to fish, but beware, up here, danger is always lurking below. We're in the tropics, mate, and we're at the ramp. You've got to be croc-wise, right?
Got to be croc-wise in croc country. Just really simple messages, Rob. Don't get in the water.
Yep.
Make sure when you launch your boat, you've got something between you and the water,
Yep.
like the trailer.
Yep.
Make sure you've got a good lanyard on the front of your boat, so if it goes out, you can stand in shallow water on the concrete and control your boat. Just remember, this is crocodile habitat. If you're up there, you're out of their habitat.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, let's get the baby in. So many beautiful rivers in tropical North Queensland, and the good thing is that you can come and explore and appreciate them. And I was able to look on the Eye on the Reef app, because it doesn't just apply to the reef, it applies to these rivers, and I could check where I can and can't fish before we even got here.
That's an amazing feature of it, isn't it? You know, the fact that you can be offline. You
Back
can
home,
see
looking at it. Yeah.
And you do all your pre-planning, so they're really simple to access to it.
Yeah. And it's not just the Great Barrier Reef that's World Heritage listed here, right?
This is an amazing place. They often talk about the rainforest meeting the reef.
Yeah.
Two World Heritage properties coming together. So we've got the wet tropics behind us, we've got the Great Barrier Reef outside.
Yeah.
It's just extraordinary.
One of my favourite parts of Australia.
It is beautiful, isn't it?
It's a goosebump moment. Our initial look around led us right into a patch of hungry queenfish.
Woo!
The zones aren't just out on the reef, right?
They're in some of the creeks and rivers, Rob, so it's important, just like all of our pre-planning, check your apps, check your maps.
Or both.
Or
Yep.
both,
Yep.
and just make sure you're in the right place at the right time.
To be able to catch a fish like that in calm, sheltered water and rainforest backdrop, it's awesome. Just be able to get him up there, and it's got to be close to a metre.
Yeah, it's a good queenie, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, they're a very skinny, fast fish. They just roam around, but they almost look prehistoric to me, that big mouth, and they love surface lures. The quintessential sports fish, mate. There we go. He's off like a shot. In a place like this, especially in overcast and you can't see around you, you don't want to be reviving the fish.
No. Just remember, we are in croc country.
Yeah.
So, you know, be croc wise, be croc safe. That spearing technique's great because it means you're not putting yourself over the side of the boat close to the water.
And with a live fish. Yeah, great stuff. The queenfish bite was red hot.
Hook up.
Even our skipper Daryl got in on the action.
Madness.
It doesn't get much better than this. This is what it's all about. Triple hookup in paradise. Mark, you've also, while you're up here, you've got to remember we're not at the top of the food chain, are we, mate?
No, we're not, Rob. We're going to make sure that we're croc-wise in croc country. Simple things like if you lose your lure in a snag, it's a $10 to $20 lure. Don't put your life at risk by going in the water to retrieve your lure. Make sure that if you're cast netting, tie your cast net off on your boat so if you do actually hook up to a crocodile or a big fish, it doesn't drag you in. And stand 5 metres back from the water's edge as you're casting. Maybe you're getting chased by a shark now.
You just had, you know, a metre 10 queenie eaten whole by something else, mate.
Just been busted off. So it's really important messaging around just being really safe for these environments, whether it's crocodiles, whether it's big sharks, Rob. You know, just being smart.
Place to be croc-wise, mate.
Be croc-wise and croc-safe and croc country.
Here's my queenie. Let's have a look at her. Now, speaking of being croc-wise, you know, Mark and I and Daryl have been up here a lot, so we can see it's shallow and we can see there's no crocs around, but we still want to be careful. Always play on the safe side, so we've got a gaff. We're going to keep this guy, and that way we're not reaching over and being right in the water around a slapping fish where there could be a shark or a croc. If you keep one and practice a catch and release with the others, you're doing it sustainably, mate.
That's it. You're looking after the fishery.
Bad day, mate.
Great day on the Queenies, Rob.
Yeah, fantastic. And I won't feel it this guy here at the ramp. You're not allowed to?
Not allowed to, no. And the thing is that, you know, here we're at the boat ramp. People often come in and they dump their fish frames, their bait and those sorts of things here, and that attracts crocodiles.
Yeah.
And that might not put you at risk, but the next person who comes down here doesn't know that, and they might be put at risk.
Yeah.
As long as we don't leave it here.
Yeah. And eat the good bits.
Eat the good bits.
What can I say? The fishing up here in far north Queensland is exceptional. Whether it's in the estuary or out on the reef, you're bound to hook up on something special. And then there's the incredible scenery. No wonder it's World Heritage listed. Find out more about the reef and how you can help protect it at gbrmpa.gov.au. By sticking to the zoning rules and following responsible reef practices, we can all play our part in keeping this paradise pristine.